This is a project that's been many years in the development. I would like to particularly acknowledge some leaders of local governments that are here in the room with me. Fran Lester, who, where's Fran? There's Fran, who is the director of the County Auditors Association when I was a county auditor. And I don't understand why you look so much better than I do. Appreciated her, and Mike Yoder, who's the president of the County Auditors Association. I think we also serve together as county auditors. Kent Scarrett from the Ohio Municipal League, and Suzanne Delaney from the County Commissioners Association. We've had discussions really over quite some period of time, and those discussions have gotten very detailed and granular in the last week. And I appreciate their input and the feedback that we've received from local governments in the development of this project. This is really an outgrowth of one of the more frustrating elements of my job. I hate putting people, communities, in fiscal emergency. It's statutory, there's objective metrics for it, but I just hate getting there. I've served in local government, and I understand the challenges that are faced, but when you get into that kind of situation where your back is against the wall and you're the local office holder who's left holding the bag for making decisions and outside forces that have been gathering for years or even decades, and yet you're the one that's on the front page of the paper. You're the one that has to figure out, what are we going to do now? I hate putting people in that position. So one of the things that I challenged my staff with back in 2011 was, how can we get in front of this thing? How can we figure out when a community is heading for trouble before they actually get there? And so what we're about to talk about today is the outgrowth over many years and many people in the office that have worked on this to try to figure out where we're going early. Why is this important to local governments and to state policymakers for that matter? It's kind of like being on a freeway. And if you're going down a freeway and you see the sign, your exit's 1.5 miles away, you've got plenty of time to tap the brakes, you can change lanes, slow down, get over and get ready for the exit, right? But if you are in the left lane of a 3-lane highway and you come up on the last sign, exit 143, 1/4 mile, now you're going to have to slam on the brakes, you're going to have to do some very violent maneuvering and maybe some dangerous stuff in order to be able to get off the freeway. So we want local governments to have the information available that will help them say the exit is 1.5 miles away, and they can deal with it gently. The changes you make in the budget and your revenue and your spending, your cost structures, your debt structures, those things are all things that if you have more time to do them, they have much more limited impact on services and citizens. So the bottom line of what we found, and we're going to go into a little bit, not too much detail here in a moment, but the bottom line is local governments have done, by and large, a pretty good job on some choppy water. Have to understand that most of the things that go into running a city or a county are actually beyond your control. You can't make or influence even sometimes the decisions that are made by private employers, private businesses to come or go. We try to incentivize them, we try to have good relationships, but at the end of the day, those are business decisions made by private companies for private reasons, but they impact your bottom line. The disruptions that we've seen in the economy over 40 years in Ohio, migrations from manufacturing into more of a service and information-based economy, the increases in productivities, all have impacts on those local communities and upon the revenue streams and demands for service. And of course, we also have the impact of policy changes at the federal and state government levels that impact the revenue streams that local governments have. So when you look at all these things, it's kind of amazing that local governments, that the heat map you're about to see, doesn't have more red and yellow in it. So what we have 17 factors, and these are all drawn from the financial statements of the entities themselves. So in other words, none of these are our numbers. These are all the local government's numbers. And what we have done is looked at relationships and ratios, examined it against the historic pattern. We've looked at the entities that did go into fiscal emergency and said, what were the common factors? What were the numbers that showed up early? And what we have found is that if you have 6 red lights for shorthand purposes, or if you have 8 red and yellow lights out of 17, you're heading toward fiscal emergency. Now, it doesn't mean you'll get there. You can tap the brakes and adjust the course on the steering wheel and avoid that, and that's our hope in publishing this report. We're also hoping that this is helpful in the upcoming budget. I know that there will be discussions about what and how much happens where, and I'd like to have this information available for that discussion. So, a couple other things I want to mention, and I'll show you the heat map. First of all is rule number 1 about this. I promised Mike I would say this over and over again. You can't look at just 1 out of 17. This is everything. This is all put together. You got to look at all the factors together. So having 1 or 2 lights might mean absolutely nothing. I'll give you a quick example. One of the things we look at is property tax revenue. Why? Because it's the most stable source of revenue for a local government. And if property tax revenue is decreasing, that's a very bad sign. That means your property values are falling. That probably is a function of problems within the economy because there's no demand for real estate and the values of the real estate are dropping. Okay, so that's traditionally a bad thing. That's something that we would go, oh my gosh, that's not good. But what if you're doing so well you got to cut taxes? You got enough money, so you're actually cutting taxes. That's going to show as a revenue drop, and it might show up as a yellow light in our statistics. So it's important to look behind the numbers, and when you have 1 or 2 lights, it's not necessarily a bad thing. 217 of 237 cities that had complete reports, you'll see